this lesson we're going to be looking at dividing fractions. So dividing fractions is very easy. There are just these three things you need to remember to do. So it might make some of you hungry, but think of KFC. Okay? So the K stands for keep. When we're answering a dividing fractions question, what you need to do is you need to keep the first fraction the same. So if we look at this first example here, and we're asked to work this out and give our answer in its simplest form, A, we've got 4/5. So this is the first fraction in the question. That will stay exactly the same, so it'll be 4/5. Then it says F, flip the second fraction. So you can see in this question here, we have 1/4, which is our second fraction, and we need to flip that upside down. So that now becomes 4/1, or that is just 4, isn't it, as a whole number. And then C stands for change. You change the division sign to a multiplication sign. Okay, so to divide fractions, we need to remember KFC, keep the first fraction the same, flip that second fraction, and change the divide to a times. Then, if we continue with this question then, we now have a multiplication question, which you learnt last lesson. So remember, first of all, let's look to see if we can cross cancel. Think of the bow tie. Let's look at these diagonals. Does anything go into 4 and 1? No. Anything go into the 5 and the 4? No. And then downwards, can I cancel down the 4/5? No. And the 4/1? No. So this one's quite straightforward. We just multiply the numerators. So 4 times 4 is 16 over 5 times 1 is 5. So that gives me 16/5. Now you could change that into a mixed number, but we'll be learning that in the next few lessons, how to change an improper fraction, that's a top-heavy fraction, into a mixed number. So for now, we will just leave our answers in their simplest form. So dividing is just as easy as that. So let's look at example B. So we follow KFC, K, keep that first fraction the same, F, flip that second fraction, C, change the divide sign to a multiply sign. Then what we will do is see if we can cross cancel. So first of all, let's look at these diagonals. Does anything go into 5 and 5? Yes. 5 goes into 5, so 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 5 once. Let's look at the next diagonal. Does anything go into 9 and 12? Yes. What? And 3 is the highest common factor of these. So 3 goes into 9 3 times, 3 goes into 12 4 times. Then look at downwards. Can we cancel those at all? No, they are as they are. So what we now have is 1/3 multiplied by 4/1. Then multiply the numerators. 1 times 4 is 4 over 3 times 1, which is 3. And that is the answer in its simplest form. So what I'd like you to do, please, is write gwaith dosbarth, today's date, in your big books. Write down dividing fractions. Can you please write that note? So dividing fractions is easy. You'll see you just need to remember K, keep the first fraction the same, F, flip the second fraction, C, change the division sign to a multiplication sign. Can you write that in, please? You do not need to draw a picture of that man. And then write down examples. 1, work out the following, give your answers in the simplest form, and then write down A with the workings and B with the workings, please. So you may want to pause the video, write that in, and then when you're ready for me to go through the next examples with you, press play and I'll go through those with you. Let's look at these two examples. So C, we have 4/7 divided by 10/11. So we're dividing fractions. Remember KFC to help you. K, keep that first fraction the same. F, flip the second fraction. C, change the divide sign to a multiply sign. Then we are multiplying two fractions together. So see if you can cross cancel. Let's look at these diagonals here. Does anything go into the 4 and the 10? Yes. 2 goes into both. So 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 goes into 10 5 times. Does anything go into 7 and 11? No, other than 1. Let's go downwards. Anything go into 2 and 7? No. Anything go into 11 and 5? No. So what we then have is we just multiply now these new numerators then. So 2 times 11 is 22 over 7 times 5 is 35, and that is in its simplest form. Let's look at D. We have 2/3 divided by 8. KFC, K, keep that first fraction the same. F, flip this second fraction. Now this is a whole number. All whole numbers are over 1. Okay, so remember that. So what we would then do is make it over 1 and then flip it, so it will be 1 over 8. C, change this divide sign to a multiply sign. Now we will multiply. Let's see if we can cross cancel. Does anything go into 2 and 8? Yes, 2 goes into 2 and 8. So 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 8 4 times. Does anything go into 1 and 3? No, other than 1, and we cannot cancel downwards either. So this is just 1 times 1, which is 1, over 3 times 4, which is 12. And that is in its simplest form. So again, what I'd like you to do, please, is to write those 2 examples in your big book, and then when you're ready to go through the next 2 examples, press play, and I'll be going through them with you. Alright, so E, we have 6 divided by 1/5. So in this question we're going to be looking at how many fifths go into 6. Okay, so remember first of all, 6 as a fraction is 6 over 1. Okay, so we keep that the same. F, flip that second fraction, so that'll be 5 over 1, which is a whole number now then, that would be 5. And then C, change that divide sign to a multiply sign. So we're going to have 6 over 1 times 5 over 1, so see if we can cross cancel. Does anything go into 6 and 1? No, only 1. Does anything go into 5 and 1? No, only 1. So we multiply the numerators, that gives you 30 over, multiply the denominators, that gives you 1. Now, it's very important that you remember anything over 1 is just a whole number, so we need to write it as a whole number. So this would be 30. Okay. Let's look at F. A recipe for a cake uses 2/3 of a pound of sugar. How many cakes can be made from 6 pounds of sugar? So what we are wondering here is how many 2/3 go in to 6. Okay, how many 2/3 of a pound are there in 6 pounds? So that means we will be dividing. Okay, so here then, same as what we've done before, dividing fractions. So you'll have, writing this 6 as 6 over 1, keep that the same, flip that second fraction, and then change the divide sign to a times sign. Look to see if you can cross cancel. What goes into 6 and 2? 2, so 2 goes into 6 3 times, 2 goes into 2 once. Does anything go into 1 and 3? No, other than 1. So this is going to be 3 times 3, which is 9, over 1 times 1, which is 1. That means then that you can make 9 cakes. So make sure that you answer the question. 9 cakes can be made. Okay, so that's the lesson on dividing fractions. Can you please write those final 2 examples into your big book, and then your teacher will tell you what the assignment is for you to complete. Well done.